this feels like possibly one of the most complicated readings I've ever done on this channel. There are readings that I've encountered where I'm doubting myself, as I go through transitions. I wonder whether I'm doubting myself, whether I'm in fear, whether I just need to let a new upgrade sit with me. But that's not what's been going on. And I've been picking up on this energy since, I'd say, around Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's been coming up more and more. It became clearer on Sunday night. I actually feel like I've been negotiating with Spirit, trying to look at, sort of my contract, going through it in fine detail to say, this is not what we agreed. This is not my responsibility. That kind of negotiation, with the person that you work for, trying to sort of review your contract because this is not, you don't feel like this is what you signed up for. I feel like I've been having that kind of negotiation. Before I continue, I'd love, please will you listen to this one with discernment? Not just that. It actually feels like for this particular reading, I don't actually want to represent the collective. I don't want to represent the collective here because the energy is entangled, it is confused, it is, there's a lot yet to be transmuted for this energy. This is one of the things I've been asking myself. This is not my responsibility. However, it is in my field. Okay. And the reason why I am continuing is because for a couple of days I've been negotiating, and I did a spread yesterday and I was like, this is not my job. And then today I opened it up, gained even more clarity. The more I open to it, the more clarity I get. And so I want to share with you what this energy is, but I need you to listen with discernment, because if you are not experiencing this, don't at all try to make it fit. Do not try to make it fit. I'm bringing it here. And as you listen, I'd love for you to get involved with me on a very particular level. Because when I do a reading, I'm reading for the collective. And my intentions are super clear with Spirit. And I set these super clear intentions so that I can create a safe container. Okay. However, now and again, I come across a more difficult, stubborn energy. And what can happen with that is, if that energy doesn't respond to what I have to offer, it tends to recur. That's why I've had to start to create clear intentions, because this energy then reoccurs, and the result is that it blocks something else that I'm waiting for. Like I can see the files downloading, but this one, once it gets in the way, and I'm going to address anyone who's thinking about boundaries and spiritual protection and protect myself, I'm going to address that. But I can see this energy. And so I can set an intention, but if this energy is looming to this extent around the collective, Khunze would be bypassing this by ignoring the fact that it's there. Okay. And so I don't want to bypass it. I've been trying to figure out, wait, is this a trap? Is this, someone who's really in need? Is this conceited? Is this like, a bona fide? Okay. Like, does it come in good faith? That's what I've been trying to ascertain. I'm going to take you from the beginning of how I got here and the levels of sort of forgiveness that I've needed to work with in order to read this more clearly. Okay. And again, because information is only able to meet us as far as we are willing to meet ourselves. Okay, this is important for this energy for me to say this. Before I continue, for anyone who finds this reading interesting or, someone who listens to the end, I recorded a part 2, and so I'm going to leave that link in the description box below. I didn't mention it during the first part because I thought I was done and I wasn't. Back to the reading. I'm going to take you to Sunday night, early hours of the morning. I was woken up by a huge, big, powerful thunderstorm. Okay. I'm not scared of thunderstorms. They are quite violent here in Johannesburg. I'm not scared of them. This one scared me. And what happened was that the electricity went out. There was a wide power outage at the same time as this thunderstorm, which is not a regular thing that we experience. It just shows that this was a big one. So everything was blacked out. And I just felt, it was 2 a.m, I'm very sensitive at that time of the night. And I could tell that there was an energy around me. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm not scared. And so, I'm not scared right now. And I cleared up the fear already, literally by walking out of the sort of more secure part of this house to be able to go charge my phone. I didn't have a torch on my phone because it was dead. So everything had died, and I was processing all of these thoughts, the way a person would, let's say, if there was an intruder in their house. You've got, let's say, this more secure area, a gated off section of your house. Okay, now compare this sort of as you think about the story I'm sharing as, let's say, my field. And so I'm in the secure part of my house. It's now gone dark. Okay, so I can't see, and it's loud. And it's, so I'm sort of on high alert. I'm in vigilance mode, sort of my nervous system. And as I continue unlocking that gate, the house is still secure, but I consider unlocking that gate and I ask myself whether it's safe to open that gate. Because if there's someone waiting for me, then obviously I'm no longer safe. I'm processing all these things. And then I remind myself, no man, you live in a safe home. There's absolutely nothing. It's the sound of the thunder. It's the darkness. And you're going to have to charge your phone. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting here forever. Just open. And just like that, the fear went away, but the energy didn't. And so I was working through this sort of possible intruder. There was no intruder. Okay. There never was, but physical intruder. I was working through this intruder option versus this invasion into my field. I call it an invasion because I could sense its intention. I then went to charge my phone, got a glass of water, came back, locked up, got back into bed. But then I couldn't sleep for 2 hours. And for this 2 hours, I was just receiving information, more information about this energy. Okay. And sort of, how information sort of trickles down as you accept what you're dealing with. And so you get more information. It's kind of how the throat chakra works. If you release some of this stuff and you let it be and you let it come into your awareness, it then releases more clarity on the situation. And what I saw was that for now, I have a cloak. Okay, so I have a cloak is what I saw. And that this cloak is for purposes of sort of just allowing me to rest easy and to process whatever I need to process in the meantime. The challenge with this energy, okay, and I've got to know it now. I've actually got to know this energy, and I feel like I've been taken into sort of deeper awareness about myself, my capacity to hold information, and also deeper knowledge of the shadow and dark aspects. So these are aspects of myself that I have not encountered. Let me put it this way, because I'm not about to change my mind around what I see out there is as part of my experience that I'm excluded from it. I'm not about to be selective around this truth, okay? And perhaps something's going to change, and as within, so without no longer applies, but at least not for now. Okay. I don't find that to be sensible at the moment. Everything I'm saying applies to this energy. Okay. Everything I'm saying applies to this energy because I am sharing some very basic truths around, intention and, a general benevolence and, what awareness does for us and how we, as within, so without. And so if there's an energy that you are sensing around you, to deny that it is there within you on some level, your ability to mirror it or reflect it means it exists within you. You cannot see what you are completely are not. You create your experience. And so even if your awareness maybe at times feels clouded or has not experienced something to its full extent, if you encounter it, that thing is awakening within you. And this is not to say now, if it's a darkness that you are seeing or encountering, that you are turning dark. It does not mean that. It means you are integrating more awareness. You are becoming more familiar with your environment. Your ability, let's say, to read and interact with energy is becoming more dynamic. I want to pause for a second because I'm interacting with this energy as I'm addressing it. I'm in the process of sort of in the mirror with it. And I've picked up on frustration. I want to address something before I continue here. That if you hear me, if you've been listening to my readings regularly, you need to know for now that what I'm bringing here to you is not something I am struggling with in my day to day that I'm struggling to face. It's not so much like that. It's more like I'm reading this energy because I remember a comment I got around picking up reading when I'm in fear and all of that. I could completely close this down and do a whole lot of readings for myself, but it's actually not going to resolve the energy that's in front of me. I am in a place where I trust my intuition, and I'm not gaslighting myself to say that this is just all happening, and it is what it is. It is what it is. And I don't know if I finished what I was saying earlier when I said there is a particular level where I'd like for you to get involved, okay? I read for you all, and I do set intentions. I would like to know, okay? This doesn't mean that my content is now going to take this direction. That's not what I'm saying. What I'd like to know is, how does this land on you? I don't know why I'm asking this because I don't usually ask that, but I'd like to know, how does this land on you? Are there those of you that want to understand these types of energies more? These energies where it's something, we can say it's out of our control and we can say all of that, but this particular energy has come into my field because it wants to understand itself. Okay. And it's got a lot of, I'm going to call it pride. Okay. I'm going to call it pride because my pride has been tested, and I'm not a proud person. I wouldn't call myself proud. That's not how I describe myself. And it's definitely not what I was feeling, let's say, before I opened this container. These energies are energies I'm encountering here in this container, just like any other. It is too proud. It doesn't understand itself, and it seems to believe, this is now me explaining it to itself, it seems to be of the understanding that if it lingers around here, you look at the cards in front of you, the top ones are what's happening in the surrounds, okay? That's 8 of Wands, the Fool, a 9 of Pentacles, 10 of Swords, Page of Swords, and 6 of Swords. This is someone coming in because they'd like to start afresh and build, but they're feeling completely defeated and trying to figure out how to move from here to there. And they don't know how to do it. And instead of humbling themselves, asking, instead of considering that their abilities can help them too, not only for others, they can help them too. Instead of doing that, they're trying to bypass the process of doing this work, of doing the work and really look at all those swords, of really unpacking their truth, how they feel so defeated that they need to go into someone else's energy to wait and see what's coming next so they can bypass the work. Okay, because I'm here to share, and that's why I'm being so careful about using your discernment to listen to this, because I'm not calling out what I'd say is my regular community here. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing that. I feel that this recent effort is relatively new, and that's why I've been negotiating with Spirit, because it is very decided about its strategy, and I'm calling it because I don't want to personify it yet, and I don't want to this energy this energy is difficult for me to honor. It's difficult for me to honor because I am not sure about its own personal capacity and appetite to humble itself and do the work, which is why I felt intrusive energy rather than, most of us, I think, I've seen it in the comments and it's how I behave. Let me rather take a step back and describe it like that. When I want to know something and I don't have that information yet, I ask Spirit for that information. I've seen in the comments that many of us do it this way. And more often than not, those answers find us. Okay, seek and ye shall find. The answers will find you, whether it's on a reading or on your walk down the street or in a dream, whatever it is, or just a random download. The information you ask for will find you. When you ask with intention, you're opening up your heart to be able to receive that information, and your awareness is has made space for that information to arrive. Your heart is open, and so you're able to receive it. But if your heart is closed and you are not open, okay, and you cannot humble yourself to your own spirit to ask for the information you need because you believe that the information you receive is going to be inconvenient and you'd rather bypass this thing, why should I do the work? Why should I do this work on someone else's behalf? Okay, because I have really worked through my self-sacrifice work. This energy is very upsetting. This energy is very upsetting because if it's affecting me, I want to say it is running rampage on the collective. Okay. And so that's why I'm naming some of these things to help it create awareness around where its blocks are, because this is not work that can be bypassed. One of the things I processed as I was going to the lounge to go charge my phone and thinking about this intruder, I had this sort of clarity drop into me where it's around, when you are in your own house and somebody lands on your property, climbs over the wall and sneaks around the periphery of your house, let's say. The last thing you're going to do is turn on the lights in the house, because then they can see you clearly and you cannot see them. Okay, so that's what's not happening here, is me turning on the lights on what's next. Okay, and also another energy actually cannot access information that you have not brought to your awareness yet. Well, let me speak for myself. I have got to know my relationship with Spirit. It is a form of protection that I have with my own spirit that I have got to learn. And the reason why I walk with such trust, I have no choice here. I walk with trust. Information is released to me as I'm ready for it and as I execute. I could not know something this morning and know exactly what needs to happen next an hour later. And so if I, the intended recipient of said information, have not received that information, you are going to be waiting a very long time. You're going to be waiting a very long time. If I'm walking around in my house and it's dark, I'm the one who knows the nooks and crannies of my field. I am very familiar with the nooks and crannies of my field. And so you are at a disadvantage in my field because I have full sight of what's happening in my field. You don't know when I'm going to arrive. You don't know when information's going to drop. You don't know any of these things. You're sitting around and waiting for something that you do not have the capacity to receive because you need to open your heart to that information, open your mind to that information, and dedicate yourself to doing the work. I'm not going to go on for much longer here. I recognize that I have raised my tone. I'm fully aware of that. I never speak to my community like this. You know, they say never say never. But this is not the way that I like to speak to my community. And I hope that anyone who's listening, who's been listening to me for a while, or who just arrived here, if you want to hear how I usually speak, please feel free to listen to any other video. Okay. It's like how I'm speaking now is how I usually speak. That energy is building up. However, I trust my field once I've asked Spirit to be with me. I trust my field. It's how I read. It's this surrender sort of agreement that I have with my spirit. And it would seem today that this energy, is being addressed in this nature. In this nature. We aren't here to pussyfoot. Oh my God. You see, this is very much the reason why I was like, I don't want to do this, Spirit. I don't want to do this. Could we just like sleep through this and then come back and just read for everyone who is willing to do the work? Okay? Who has the capacity to do the work and is interested in doing the work. And that doesn't mean every single reading of mine is like hard work, you know, because I mean, I'm always negotiating. I'm always negotiating. When there's good news, we bring good news. But this particular energy needed to be told quite directly that this information, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. It's like, they're showing me sort of like a frequency thing. It's like a frequency thing. It's like, an impala or a buck or a kudu trying to hear the sound of a whale. Let's say, for example, I'm not saying I am this, you are that. These are both beautiful animals, okay, with their own types of intelligence. I'm just saying to hear a whale, one needs to be willing to go to the depths of the ocean. Okay. One needs to be willing to withstand that pressure. Okay. To be able to hear those sounds and become more familiar with those sounds. Okay. So if you only are used to working, living, being on land, the chances that you're going to speak whale are slim until you do the work of transforming and shape-shifting sort of from a buck to a sea animal. There is also a particular type of karma that this kind of behavior sort of creates. When I say karma, I'm not referring to punishment. Okay, sometimes, you know, karma is personal. How it lands on us is so personal. But it's really around if you stick your foot in a pile of mud and you cannot expect for you to draw your foot out of the mud and your foot suddenly is just clean. You are going to need to figure out how to clean your foot. Find some water to clean your foot, ask a friend to clean your foot, or hop along until you find some water to clean your foot, or wait for it to dry, chip it off yourself. But you can't expect to not have a result for your actions. Using this example of sticking your foot in the mud because the mud is not hurt. The mud is not hurt. However, you're the one who is experiencing the sticking of said foot in said mud. Okay, and so it's for you to figure out. The mud is fine. The mud is fine. Like you take your foot out, it finds its shape again. The mud is fine. So it's that was an interesting analogy. But basically what I'm saying is that is what you create. And I think I'm here to explain that what you have come for, what you are looking for is available. However, your prescribed way of attaining it is not available. One of the karmic sort of repercussions that this mode of getting information or trying to get information, what it does is it erodes your own relationship with the idea of being protected. There are so many ways that we can understand spiritual protection, and I do believe some people believe, let's say, in chosen beings and all of that. And I have a video on chosen ones and I can share it. Okay, I downloaded some truth that suits me on the idea of being chosen. I believe that you choose the journey. You choose it. Okay, not that some pre-selections, you didn't make it. I don't believe in that. I just don't. But as you build trust and a sense of safety with your spirit and with your God, whatever you call it for yourself, this thing is like reciprocal. The protection comes with the trust. It's not so much, so if you are not trustworthy, you disenable yourself from receiving what is already available to you. You cannot hold it because you cannot share it. You do not, you have it. I don't want to make it sound like you don't have that protection, but you can't enjoy that protection if you don't believe it's there. I know I sometimes flip back and forth in terms of what I believe about spiritual protection and dark forces and spiritual attacks. Okay, I very much am aware that we understand things the way we need to understand them for a time. And so I give myself grace when it comes to that, because when you feel like you're being spiritually attacked, it is what it is. And I almost feel like it's better to see it that way, as long as you need to see it that way, whatever you need to do to get yourself through what you're going through, right? Because often, for me, I've found some of these energies are, again, like I said, an aspect of myself that's becoming known to me by me. And the reason I'm saying that is because this entire reading has felt, even though I haven't said, this is a person or this is a portion of the collective or whatever, I'm referring to it as an energy, because at the end of the day, it's an energy. And so it can be applied across levels, dimensions, as one sees fit. It's so possible that this experience is just something that I've created within myself in order to bring out a new aspect of me. But with that said, it is this alive and it is this present. And so making it smaller and trying to shift it to the side does not make it less significant. I also very much believe that my territory is mine to protect. And so if I raise my voice because of this energy that's challenging me, this is not the time for me to back down within my own energy. That is not an option. It's not an option. And it's not, I suppose it is. It's defensive. It's defensive. However, there is still something offered to this energy. And so I have responded to this energy. I have not stonewalled this energy. I have not bypassed this energy. And I have not told this energy that it is fated to realize its fears, okay, to make its fears come true. That's not what I'm saying. And if, like, now that I've taken sort of a couple of steps back, what I'm seeing here is the transmutation of a very stubborn energy, that does not believe that it deserves this grace that, let's say, I'm enjoying, you're enjoying. It doesn't believe that. And so I'm hoping that this message has come across. I'm also hoping that something has been transmuted here. That is why I didn't shy away from the energy, because I am surely not showing up to rehash this constantly. On Sunday night, as I was processing that cloak, I could actually feel it trying to be in my body. I don't mean it in that really sick way. I mean it like shoulders, torso, muscles. It was trying to experience what it's like, not just to be in my consciousness, but to be in my body. Okay. Mentally, I felt like this is a violation. But then that's how I got to understand its intentions better, because actually this is an energy that wants information. It's desperate. It wants information that it doesn't believe that it has the strength and clarity to attain for itself. And so it's trying to expand its awareness through me rather than directly. And something just came up for me as I said that last sentence. Just for clarity, when I send out an intention and a question and I listen to a reading, I'm open to receiving responses, answers, right? And many of us listen to readings for this reason. That's an openness. That's the openness that I'm referring to. And as a reader, I also open up. I go through spirit and I ask spirit to help me to create this container. And I set my intentions as to who I'm reading for. I don't pinpoint individuals. I don't pinpoint I don't say, Spirit, please show me how to help this person who is struggling with XYZ. That's not what I do. What I do is I basically ask Spirit, what's the lesson for the day? That's pretty much it. I don't use those words, but I'm basically opening up for Spirit to present the problem, because it's Spirit that will present the solution. So all of it is found in the container. Okay. Or I bring something, let's say that I dreamed, or something that came through as a download, and I come in, and also that's the containers being created before I've sort of got to it. Okay. So I'm not, the way I see it, I'm not invading your energy. And I've seen some jokes sometimes, and I think they are funny, to be honest, where it's like, are you like literally, so that's not, I don't behave like a spy by nature. I behave like a conduit. Okay. I behave like a conduit, and whatever information has already headed my way, I receive and transmit. It's another thing to target an energy, go to it, and ask for access to it so that you can retrieve something for yourself. Because something that you actually wanted from there, you don't want it anywhere else, because you want it from there and you want it like that. This is futile, this exercise. It's futile. There is a playlist that I created some time back. It's a healing playlist. It goes through quite a number of areas of healing, like healing the worthiness wounds, opening up that sort of creation space within oneself, but actually going into, some of it goes into the past and relationships and some karma that needs clearing in order to sort of unlock yourself from this place. I've been there, which is why I created that content. This entire journey on pyramid energy, it has really, this is like this, what I did today feels different, but I cannot name a reading to you where that energy did not apply to me. I can't name one. And it's this healing journey of mine has been right here on this channel and live. Okay. It's been live. It's been, what do you call it? Active. That's what I'd call it. I'd call it live. None of it is purely performed for the purposes of others. Okay, it has very much been for myself, because I've been on this journey, and it's also very much a testament to what the work does, and, trust and faith in one's own journey and spiritual calling, because a lot of it was unknown to me, but it's as though I followed my own star. Okay, and that's what would get me back into the container each and every time. And so all I can say to that is, each of us can connect with our own star. Okay, we can embrace all the guidance that's available, that's shared so lovingly. But unfortunately or fortunately, it actually makes no difference where the fortune lands. Each person's destiny is designed uniquely. It's like trying to peel off someone else's fingerprint and pretend it's yours on your finger. Okay, we all have our own fingerprints. We are all unique, and we all have a star that we can follow. Sending you all so much love.